matching equations. So if you need extra practice with that, you can go back to the GIM kit, you can go to the Quizlet and practice some of those. You can also watch the video with all of the notes that have those formulas in them. When you got down to the worksheet spot with our 6 questions, our first problem was a rectangular prism. Reminder, for a rectangular prism, to find the volume, we use length times width times height. So really on this one, we're just going to be multiplying all 3 of those measurements together. So my length is right here, that's 10. My width is right here, that's 6. And my height is right here, that's 4. So I'm going to multiply them all together. 10 times 6 is 60, times 4 makes 240. On the checkpoint, you could just type in the answer as 240 and leave it there, or you could go ahead and put centimeters behind it. It would technically be centimeters cubed. Sometimes that's a little difficult to do on the computer, so just the 240 would be perfectly fine for this checkpoint. All right, the second question on that worksheet part was a triangular prism. Although it is sitting on a rectangle here, you have a triangle and a triangle on the opposite side. This means we're going to use our equation of capital B times H, where the capital B is the area of the base. So in this one, it's the area of that triangle. As a reminder, the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So for this one, we're going to take the base of the triangle, which is 3. We're going to multiply it by the height, which is 5, and we're going to divide by 2. This gives me the capital B, or the area of the triangle, and then we're going to multiply by the height of the prism, which would be 2 on this one. Okay, so we're going to take 3 times 5 divided by 2, and then multiply by 2. We would end up with 15 yards cubed. Now, here's a shortcut you can actually use when you have triangular prisms. I actually like to use this one a little bit better. If I were to take this triangular prism and make a copy and rotate it, I would have a rectangular prism, which we know is length times width times height. So if this part, the capital B, confuses you for this one, you could also do it this way. If I had 2 of these, it would be a rectangular prism, so it would be length times width times height, but I only have 1/2 of it, so that means I need to divide by 2. So I could also do it this way, just multiply all 3 numbers together and then divide it by 2. If I do that, I would have 5 times 3 times 2 divided by 2, which still ends up being 15 yards cubed. All right, for the next one, we've got a cylinder. We've got a circle on the bottom and a circle on top. I like to imagine this like I have coins stacked on top of each other. I need to find the surface area of one coin, and then I need to multiply it by the height. This means that we're really still using this equation of capital B times H, but now this capital B is the area of our circle. The area of a circle we find by taking pi times the radius squared, so that is capital B, and then we're going to multiply by the height of the prism. The key to this one was realizing that the radius right here is actually only half of what's being shown. We have the diameter is 20, so our radius is 10. That means I'm going to take pi times 10 squared, and then I'm going to take it times the height here of 20. This part here, this is the area of the circle. That's going to be 314, and then I'm going to multiply it by 20. Let me plug it in my calculator, and I get a total of 6,280 centimeters cubed. All right, next one here, we've got another triangular prism, triangle on this side, triangle on the back side. So using our shortcut, if we had 2 of these, it would be a rectangular prism, which would have been length times width times height. But since we have only one triangle, we're going to take this and divide that all by 2. If we do that, our length is right here. That's our 6 times our width is 10 times the height is 3. Now I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to divide it by 2. 6 times 3 is 18 times 10 makes 180. Then we're going to divide that by 2, which would give us 90 cubic centimeters. Surprise, surprise, another triangular prism. We're hitting them hard today. We're going to use the same formula, length times width times height. That would be for a rectangular prism, so we're going to divide it by 2, so we have our triangular prism. Our length for this one is 4, our width is 8, and our height is 6. We're going to take all that, we're going to divide it by 2. When we do that, we should end up with a final answer of 96 centimeters cubed. Our last one, this was a challenging one to see if you really understood how to use the equations. So this one, we have a rectangular prism, but we're told that the volume of the rectangular prism is 106.8 feet cubed. We only know 2 measurements, and we're trying to figure out what is that third measurement. So if I use my equation of length times width times height, I could go ahead and say that this is equal to the volume. Remember, we're solving for volume. So right now, I know 106.8, so I have 106.8 is equal to the length times the width times the height. I'm just going to leave the height as the last one because it doesn't really matter which order they go in. So I would have this as 8 times 5 times h. Well, 8 times 5, that's 40. So I have 106.8 is equal to 40 times h. And so I just need to figure out what is this h value. Well, this is where we use our solving equations properties. We're going to use the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 40. It's going to leave h on this side, so h, or the question mark of what I'm trying to solve for, is going to end up equaling 2.67. If I needed a label, it would be feet, because these are all in feet. Alright guys, I hope this helped answer some of your questions from the checkpoint from yesterday. Just a reminder, today at 1 o'clock we have a live Kahoot, just to kind of catch up, hang out for a little bit, chat for a while, and maybe do a little math. Who knows?